Alright, let's see what we've got here. Welcome back! Today we've got a nice little video on how a beautiful red Ducati goes together. It's a bit of a mix-up, this one. It's not going to be a full deep dive engine rebuild type thing. I wanted to get kind of a bird's eye view on how a bike goes together. This customer just had an old 1198, had done a few kilometers, so it needed a top-end rebuild. New rings, fresh cut valve seats, really good customer, really beautiful bike. So this is how we do it. And again, we're not going to go deep. As you can see, we're just cutting the valves. We go past the assembly of the cylinder heads here because it wasn't a full engine rebuild, it was just a top end, so I wasn't fully in charge of filming, but I didn't want to get everything. I just wanted to get a few nice bits and pieces and put it all together and see a bike emerge in the end. So this is how we cut the valves, cut the valve seats, lap them in. You can see we didn't do any port work. That's how they come standard from the factory, with a dirty big seam down the half of the intake and exhaust ports there. It's horrible. That's why they get so much horsepower from a good porting job. Valve stem seals go in, and you can see a little bit of the desmodromics there, but we didn't get enough to film it properly, so we're just sticking the cylinder heads back on. But before we do that, the pistons have to go in, so we prep the gasket surfaces, and you can see they put these little green O-rings on the cylinder studs on this bike. That's because a lot of the Ducatis, and most of the modern Ducatis, leaked from these base gaskets, and they figured it was oil running down from the cylinder head through the stud passages. So this kind of helps it, but it doesn't fix it. The oil slowly seeps down and discolors the paintwork. It discolors the paintwork on the engine there, and it looks horrible, but it seems to be a bit better with those things. It just makes it a bit harder to get the gasket on, as you can see him trying to wiggle it past the O-rings. It's not a big deal, but why not have an O-ring there? Metal base gaskets, lots of glue, because they still leak no matter what you do. No matter how clean you get the surface, they all leak, even from factory. Once you're ready, you can stick the pistons on. Where is she? Hello, Mr. Piston. Nice new shiny rings. We just cleaned the top of the piston heads, because the pistons were actually okay. The clearance was good. They weren't worn, just a little bit coked. Just clean them up and stick some new rings in. Give the cylinders a light hone, and it goes really well. Once you get the cylinder past the rings, you can just knock it down, and it seats itself nicely. Then the cylinder heads go on, and like I said, we're just putting this thing back together. I'm not filming everything. We'll leave that for another day where we do a full desmodromic rebuild, but there is one on a Monster 900 already up there that we did. If you want to have a look, you can see all the desmos going back in and how they're shimmed up and everything. So there's a complete engine. There's also another video on me building that engine stand, in case you're interested. It's not a big one. But yeah, that's how we set the timing belts, using a hertzometer to check the frequency for the tension. It's such a beautiful engine when they're naked, you know. You wind it over, it looks like clockwork, and they're just amazing. And yes, being desmodromic and belt driven, you can do it by hand. There's not much load on these things, that's why they got so much torque. So yeah, we wrap it all up with the black belt covers there, and that's pretty much the engine. So the clutch and everything else is already done. We didn't touch the bottom end, no starter motor rebuild. This is just new valves, new piston rings, and away you go. So the customer bought in a second frame because he wasn't happy with the one that he had on the bike already. So that's why this is a full bike build, not an engine overhaul type deal. I don't know where he got this frame from. I don't really care. I don't know what was wrong with his old one. He just said, I want this engine in that frame. So I said, okay. So we unwrap it, stick in some steering head bearings. Helps if you freeze them first, that's why they're wet. Lower bearing goes on the triple clamp after it's been greased, so we pack them with grease first. That's the problem with steering head bearings from the factory, they're never greased enough and that's why they go bad. They don't come with grease, so they rust and no one ever retensions them, so they notch out, and that's when you've got to take the whole front end of the bike off and replace those bearings. It's a big job. It's a lot easier when you've just got a frame sitting in front of you, let me tell you that. So yeah, the steering stem just goes through the frame there, sitting in between two upper and lower bearings, and the special Ducati nut that they've had for a couple of decades gets torqued up. You can see when you try to put the subframe in, it's a little bit tricky because you've got 4 really thin mounts that wrap around the subframe, and all that metal fatigues from being sat on for so long. But that's kind of good because it tightens them up and it makes it a lot more sturdy. Just a little bit trickier to assemble if they're fatigued too much. It's not a big deal. What's next? Front goes on. Not much to that. A couple of bolts. So you can see we've already stuck the rear wheel on just so we could get it sort of moving a little bit. We've got the frame held up by a T-bar while we insert the front suspension. Front wheel goes in. Really good setup on these. You can see the black nickel nitride, whatever, black coated forks. Really sensitive. They leak a lot, but there's really not a lot of stiction, which is the real benefit to them. They're just really sensitive. Like if you sneeze on it, it'll start leaking oil. So that's it. Now that it's a roller, you can stick it back on the bench, whack on the headlight, temporarily mount some handlebars, because we do need to take them off again in a little bit. There's the top triple clamp, so it's a bit stronger while we're working on it. The dash already lives in the front subframe. Headlight looks good. Stock forks, no biggie. Clip-ons. Brakes go on. Those beautiful big Brembos, I think they're 320mm. There's some serious stopping power. Depending on what pads you use, they tend to work better when they're hot. That's the only problem with Brembos. You've got that beautiful sound as well. They go when you're pulling up, but they don't really work until they get proper hot. What's next? The spiderweb. This can be intimidating to the unseasoned apprentice, but you got to start somewhere. Work out which is the front, work out which is the back, and apply it. Find out how it's routed, you sort of figure it out and start plugging stuff in. It looks like a bit of a mess, but it's there's a lot of order to that chaos. Once you got it sort of where you want it to be, unfortunately you got to remove the swing arm again, because on these Italianos and some other modern Japanese bikes, the swing arm pivot actually goes through the engine, so you need to stick the engine in first to make it a lot easier, and then put the rear end back on. So once you jiggle it in and tighten it up, that's when the back end goes in properly. So we just mock fitted it before so we could have a rolling chassis. Now that the engine's in snug, you can torque up the rear swing arm. Beautiful single-sided. Look at that big chunk of metal. The shock isn't too bad either. It's not the U-Butte. This is just a standard 1198. It's not an S or an R, but it's still a pretty well spec'd bike. Once you got the rear wheel in, the exhaust goes on, and the ducktail, the rear panel, what we call a ducktail. Then the nose goes in with the headlight, There's little ram tubes snake down the side there. And again, we've already fit the airbox. The tank sits on there and you plug in all its vanes. It's a good looking tank, this one, and it's got a separate airbox, not like the early 916 Ducatis where the bottom of the tank was actually the top of the airbox. So this one's self-contained, a bit more pressure. And I think that's it. Let's put its dress in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's like 12 bolts for that bearing. All those little Italian screws made of cheese. Tiny little number 3 Allen keys. Of course, there's the famous Ducati red. It's not signal red, it's not flame red. Oh. There's startup. Got a headlight out. A little bit of smoke from all the assembly oil. That's okay, it's expected. Get her outside so it doesn't stink up the joint. Let it warm up for a bit and take it for a burn. Horrible weather we've been having, but it dried out for a little bit, so I thought it was a good chance to take it for a spin around the block, just up and down the road a few times just to make sure we've got all the gears. There are no flat spots on the rev range. Being careful, obviously. Again, stock exhaust, but it still sounds pretty good. And there she goes. Now look, it's not the most comfortable bike, but this one was absolutely gorgeous to ride. Quick shifter, the rev range was just beautiful. Shame I couldn't go for a longer one, but they're not mine. I just fix them and give them back. That's it for us, guys. Again, not a deep dive, just an overall bird's eye view of how it looks like when a bike starts looking like. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Plenty of more content to come. Ah, look, there's Cody. He has to make an appearance in every video. Might be a rule. Let me know in the comments. Peace.